Someone asks what's wrong, and you pause, not because you're hiding something, but because you genuinely don't know how to answer. Nothing is clearly broken, your life still functions, you still wake up. You still go through the day, yet something doesn't feel right, and that confusion is what bothers you the most. Because if something were obviously wrong, you could name it, you could explain it, you could deal with it. But this feeling doesn't give you anything solid to point to. It just sits there, quiet, persistent, hard to describe. Most people ignore this feeling, not because it's small, but because it doesn't fit into words easily. You're not sad in a dramatic way, you're not falling apart, you're not in crisis, you're just off, and when you try to explain it, the words don't match the feeling, so you stop trying. You tell people you're fine. Not because it's a lie, but because fine is the closest word you have. What makes this harder is that everything around you looks normal. From the outside, nothing appears wrong, which makes you question whether the feeling is even valid. You start wondering if you're just overthinking, if you're being ungrateful, if you should just push through it. So you do what most people do, you keep going, but the feeling doesn't leave, it waits. You notice it most in quiet moments, when there's no distraction, no task demanding your attention. It shows up when the day slows down, when the noise fades, when there's space to feel. That's usually when it gets heavier. You replay conversations without knowing why. You feel tired even on days that weren't demanding. You lose interest in things you normally enjoy, but not enough to feel alarmed, just enough to feel disconnected. And because there's no clear reason, your mind keeps searching for one. It scans your life for something to blame: work, people, motivation, sleep, but none of them fully explain it. That's because what you're experiencing isn't a single problem. It's a pattern, a quiet one. This feeling often comes from carrying too much internally for too long, not in an obvious, dramatic way, but in small, constant ways that add up. Your mind stays alert even when nothing is happening. It never fully powers down. You think ahead, you replay the past, you manage expectations, you monitor how you come across. All of that takes energy, even when you're not aware of it. So when someone asks what's wrong, your mind comes up empty. Because there was no moment where things broke. No clear starting point. It just slowly became this way. Another reason this feeling is so hard to explain is because you've adapted to it. Your mind learned how to function while carrying it. You learned how to perform while tired, how to smile while disconnected, how to show up while feeling slightly distant from yourself. Over time, that state becomes familiar. So familiar that you stop noticing how much effort it takes. You don't collapse, you don't shut down, you just feel muted, and that's confusing because from the outside your life might actually look fine. This creates an internal conflict. Part of you feels like you shouldn't complain. Another part of you feels like something important is being ignored. That tension alone is exhausting. There's also something else happening here. When you can't explain what's wrong, your mind stays stuck in a loop. It keeps trying to figure it out, quietly, constantly, and every time it fails to find a clear answer, the discomfort grows, not dramatically, just enough to linger. This is why distractions feel so tempting. Noise, screens, constant input. They give your mind something to focus on instead of the feeling. But the moment things go quiet again, it comes back, not louder, just more noticeable. What makes this experience so common is that it doesn't look like struggle. So it rarely gets acknowledged. People talk about burnout, sadness, anxiety, but this sits in between. It's not intense enough to demand attention, but it's persistent enough to drain you. And because you can't explain it, you start doubting yourself. You wonder if you're imagining it, if you're being dramatic, so you stay silent about it. You might even joke about being tired or unmotivated, but you never fully say what you're feeling because you don't fully understand it yourself. The truth is, your mind has been in a state of low-level tension for a long time. Not panic, not fear, just constant readiness, always slightly braced, always slightly alert. And when a mind stays like that for too long, it doesn't break. It dulls. That dullness is what you're feeling. That's the part you can't explain. It's the reason rest doesn't fully help. Why sleep doesn't reset things the way you expect. Why motivation feels inconsistent. Your mind isn't tired from doing nothing. It's tired from never fully letting go. This doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your system adapted to something earlier than you realized. And now that adaptation has become your baseline, that's why it feels strange, because you don't remember choosing it. It just happened gradually. The moment someone asks what's wrong, all of this is happening underneath the surface, but none of it has a single name. So you say, I don't know. And that answer is more honest than it sounds. What matters is not forcing yourself to label it, not rushing to fix it, not convincing yourself it's nothing. What matters is noticing it without judgment. Because once you notice this pattern, you start seeing it everywhere, in your energy, in your reactions, in the way you move through your days. You realize the feeling isn't random, it's not imaginary, and it's not a failure on your part. It's information, quiet information, and the moment you stop dismissing it, something shifts, not dramatically, not all at once, but enough to change the way you listen to yourself. Enough to make that question feel less confusing the next time it's asked. Not because you suddenly have the perfect answer, but because you finally recognize what the feeling has been trying to tell you all along.